tapyante lokatapena sadava prayashodanaha parama aradanantadhi purushasya kilatmanaha. It is said that the great personalities almost always accept voluntary suffering because of the suffering of people in general. This is considered the highest method of worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present in everyone's heart. My humble obeisances to all the assembled devotees. I feel very privileged to be here in this miraculous place. It's a miracle, I was thinking this morning, how from the heart of Srila Prabhupada, first I was thinking, as I mentioned in the first class, this beautiful building was donated because of Prabhupada's merciful campaign. It inspired George Harrison to come forward and give this place. And then people came forward from everywhere to fill it up and to chant Hare Krishna. This is the mercy of a great devotee who shares his heart with the world. The altars everywhere in the world where we see Shri Shri Gaur Nitai and Radha Krishna are manifestations, the external manifestation of what's in the heart of a pure devotee. He comes and shares that with everyone for the world. And the full intention of Krishna for making this world, he's breathing in and out. Yasyaika nishvasita kala matavalamya jivanti loma vilaja jaganandanata vishnur mahansa ihayasya kala vishesho govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. Mahavishnu, who's engaged in the Srishti Leela, who's exhaling, gives forth the whole creation of the material world, which is then populated. The Manus come, the Manvantar avatars, the Leela avatars, the Yuga avatars. He sends pure devotees from all over. The Ganga comes down. Tulsi's here. Govardhan's here. Everyone's here. It's described also in the 5th canto, the Srimad Bhagavatam, that near the end of creation, when Krishna breathes back in, that's how powerful Mahavishnu is. When he breathes out, the whole material world is manifested, and everything goes on in that period of time, just in an exhalation of Mahavishnu. And during that exhalation, the whole material world, everything is manifest. All the yuga cycles go forth millions and millions of times. And it's an opportunity for everyone to take to Krishna consciousness, the sleeping souls. Jeev Jago, Gaura Chandra Bole, the Lord's calling out, please wake up. And most people don't wake up because you can't wake up somebody who's pretending to sleep. And you can't wake up somebody who doesn't want to wake up. There's a causeless unwillingness. And Lord Sankarshan becomes a little annoyed at the end of creation, realizing that during this extensive time period, he's given so much facility for everyone to come back to Godhead. Yet he's still being ignored. And therefore feeling a little angry. From his eyebrows come the 11 Rudras who come out from his mood of anger, and they begin their dance of devastation. And they burn the place down out of anger. And then it starts all over again. He inhales, and then he exhales again. This cycle is going on repeatedly to give conditioned souls an opportunity to come back home, back to Godhead. The prayers personified Vedas say that the most magnanimous and wonderful pastime of the Lord is his pastime of saving the conditioned souls from the material world, rescuing them to bring them back home, back to Godhead. What a glorious moment it is when someone recognizes their full potential for human life. Human life is compared to the cage that is opened, the door is open, and the bird can come out now and fly free. What is it like when one is wandering in the forest in darkness and being lost, and then sees the light? I was lost in Japan once because I followed a river down through the middle of Tokyo, and I thought there was only one river, but there was two, and when I came back, I took the wrong route. And I became so lost. I was chanting, and I was thinking, I'm very blissful as I was walking down the river, and then when I came back up, and I realized I'm lost, and I have no idea how to get back, and I have a plane to catch in a few hours. Then I became morose and unhappy. And it took me some struggle and consternation to find my way. Finally, somebody came along who took the trouble to figure out what was wrong. Many people just ignored me or passed off the fact that I was lost, but somebody helped me find my way back, and I felt so happy. Just in that one instant when I found the right river, I saw my way back to the temple and to the association of devotees. And that feeling of being lost, in Japanese now I know what the word lost is. It's mayota. That I know. And that reminds someone who said the other day, it sounds like mayota. And so, mayota, there's a fog in this material world. It's the pedestrian has lost his way. He doesn't know his way back. And a deep, dark forest, it's frightening. And it's a tenuous life. One doesn't know whether he'll die from exposure. What will happen? This is the struggle for material existence. It's there within the heart of everyone. Everyone knows that they're doomed, but they try to cover it over with merriment and all kinds of external trappings that look like I'm okay. But we're not okay. We're lost. But what's it like in the dark forest then when one sees the light, actually? Light means consciousness. It means somebody's home. Somebody's there that can take care of me, that direct me back. So the Vedas say, tamasi maya jyotirgama. Now's the time. You have the opportunity to see that light and come back. Come back to your home, where the heart is, where there's no more suffering. So the great suffering of this material world is separation from the devotees of the Lord and from Krishna. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Roy, what is suffering? What is the greatest suffering in this world? Ramananda Roy said, I know of no other suffering except for separation from the Vaishnavas. If I'm separated from the Vaishnavas, then I have no prospect in life. I have no orientation. I have no happiness. So, the greatest service is to give people light, to direct someone to the real path, back to the light, back to home. Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's expansion and dear associate, has a sitting place in Radhakund. If you're walking around Radhakund just after you go past the Sangam and you're walking back outside Radhakund, you've come in a full circle. On your left-hand side, there's a little doorway you can go through. Not many people know it. I know all the Bengalis know where it is because they're always back there. And you take a left and you go back, and there's a sitting place set up for Lord Nityananda back there. And on it, there's a little crocodile. It's said that Lord Nityananda Prabhu used to sometimes, out of his ecstatic madness and love of God, jump in the hissing waters of the Ganges and swim after a crocodile to try to catch it. And everyone on the bank would be yelling, no, come back. And there's a beautiful poem written by Vrindavan Das Thakur about Lord Nityananda. And in it he says that Lord Nityananda was merciful even to those who are not merciful to their own selves. Those who are not merciful even to their own selves, he gives special mercy to. So the mood of the great Vaishnavas and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is to extend mercy to those who are lost in this material world and give them an opportunity to come to the light, to come back home, back to Godhead. And this verse talks about taking this austerity. There are many different austerities that one can do. It's mentioned in Shastra that one can sit in cold water up to the neck during the winter time, or sit in hot fire when it's hot outside. But even more beneficial austerity, or I would say even more severe austerity than that, is to cooperate. Cooperation. Prabhupada mentioned something about cooperation before he left us. And in that cooperation, it's hard to cooperate, isn't it? Especially in Kali Yuga. Everywhere, everyone has a different opinion about everything. Yesterday when we were out on the street, we met so many people, and even the people who agreed with us had a different opinion. One man was standing watching the Harinam party, and he was smiling. Were you with me, Narendra? Yeah. We were watching him. He was standing by the store window, and he was just admiring the Sankirtan party, and he was smiling. He was blissful. He enjoyed it. So finally we went over to talk to him, and he was a very friendly person. Where was he from? The Caribbean or something? Some African country. Anyway, he was happy we came over, and we gave him an Ishopanishad. And he said, I don't take anything for free. So he gave a donation. I don't accept anything for free, he said. So he gave a donation, and he loved the kirtan. He liked what we were saying. He liked everything. And then he started disagreeing with us because he said, I was saying that we have free will. And that's God gives us free will. It's His kindness so that we can actually experience the full extent of love. And he said, I don't believe in free will. Everything's predestined. Isn't that what he was saying? Some disagreement. And other people, many other people that we met on the street yesterday, even though I saw one man, Vishwambar Prabhu had found this one man, and he was, Hare Krishna. Vishwambar Prabhu, he takes care of everyone. When he meets somebody on the street, he not only sells them a book, he embraces them, he finds out all about their whole family. Practically, he was giving this man a whole Srimad Bhagavatam class, and he brings him around to meet everybody. He's so friendly. He brought him around to meet us, and we were talking to the man, and he had already bought a book or a couple books from Vishwambar, and then I offered him a garland. I had this garland I brought out because I always bring a garland out, and when someone says, "What is that?" I take it off and give it to them, the first person who says. But anyway, I tried to give the garland to the man, and he's, "Oh, no, I can't touch that. I can't wear it." It's not easy to actually bring somebody to the light. That's why there's a great austerity to bring people along. There's so many reverses and shifts in life. I know many times in distributing books, I'll be talking to a perfectly sincere, open-minded person. Tell me if this hasn't happened to you. This is one of the most frustrating things. Talking to a sincere, open-minded person, and they're just about to give a donation and show their, and seal their, confirm their sincerity, and then all of a sudden some friend, so-called friend, comes along and says, "Come on, Bill, let's go. You don't want this," and takes them away by the hand. And what pain that is to see that. Yeah, you've seen it before. Many times they be dragged away by, "I gotta go," and then in a second it's lost. And in these instances, we feel within our heart how important it is to connect with someone, and how hard it is to come out of this whirlpool of the material nature. It's not automatic. Maya mugda jivera nahi swata Krishna gyan. Kripaya jivera kripaya koila Krishna Veda Puran. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught this to Sanatana Goswami. He said it's not automatic. No one comes out automatically. It's not swata. They don't just suddenly get up and say, "I'm going back to Godhead." Someone has to actually come and practically drag them back or lead them back and show them the path step by step. That's what, look at the nectar of instruction. It's the condensed teachings of all of the nectar of devotion. Who did that? Rupa Goswami, sitting in Terkadamba, he was thinking about the world and how to give people direction, a step-by-step process, how to go back to Godhead, and he left it behind. That's what the great Mahatmas do. Out of the compassion of their heart, they write these things down and they try to show by their example. They're doing everything they possibly can to make the path clear by their example and by the instructions that they leave behind so that people can come back to home, back to Godhead. When I was at the San Francisco airport, somehow Krishna arranged for us to have a Sankirtan spot there. It was some kind of really heavy yoga maya. For years, nobody worked that airport. As they said, it wasn't very good, or it wasn't possible to work. And then my godbrother, Banabhatta Prabhu, one day said, well, how do you know? And he said, well, everyone says. So he said, well, I'll go find out for myself. It was partly because we were restrained to a booth. We had to stay behind a booth, and we couldn't go out. So everyone said, you can't do it. So Banabhatta Prabhu goes out, and he gets behind the booth, and he comes back. He went out alone, and he comes back. We said, how did you do? And he goes, not so good. And we said, what was it? And he goes, and he had collected about $700, I think, and done, 100 books in one day. He was just joking that he hadn't done well. And then he started laughing. And then from then on, we started going every day to the San Francisco airport. And the airport authority, I don't know why, but all of a sudden they gave us this booth that used to be an insurance booth right in the middle of the airport. In the middle of the mainstream, they moved us and they said, move over here. And we thought, oh, this is terrible. Where are they moving us? And then we saw this booth right in the middle of the traffic. And it was our booth. It used to be an insurance booth. And there were cabinets and drawers, and we just moved in. And we put all our books, everything in the, and we didn't even lock it. We just left it there. We owned the thing practically for 10 years almost. And every day we'd pinch ourselves saying, how did this happen? How could this possibly be? And there were people lining up at the booth. Just lining up all day. We would clear out the cabinets and then bring more books, and they would clear them out again. It was some phenomenal thing. A window of opportunity. And one day I remember I was there, and a young man from Taipei, a student, was visiting, and he stopped, and I told him about what we were doing, and I handed him a nectar of instruction. And I had been recently to Terkadamba, which is a beautiful little forest in the middle of Vrindavan where Rupa Goswami sat and did his bhajan and also wrote his books, maybe even Nectar of Instruction. And this man this young man, 20 years old, student in Taiwan, purchased the book for $10, and I saw him put it in his bag, and then he went off to catch his flight back to Taiwan. And I was thinking, what would Rupa Goswami think of this? Did he foresee that there would be airports? Did he foresee the state of the world? And now this young man had a nectar of instruction in his bag, and he was flying back, and he had the association of Rupa Goswami. And then I felt this profound, almost visceral connection with Rupa Goswami, that he was writing the book, and Prabhupada brought it to us, presented it, and we distribute it, and somebody's going to take advantage of it. And I saw how taking the trouble to come out and offer what the great fruits the Acharyas have given us, to come out and offer these fruits, this gives us a intimate connection with those great souls whose main business in life is to extend themselves to others. Prahlad Maharaj's mood was that I don't want to go off to the forest. I want to stay in the big cities and towns where all the people are. And he called them, fools. They're going on with the foolish kind of civilization. I want to be right there with them, to give them the opportunity to get Krishna's mercy, to be part of that. So tapyante lokatapena prayasojana parama aradanam, the greatest kind of aradanam of worship, the parama aradanam, is to take some suffering, some voluntary suffering, for the sake of giving others the opportunity to come back home, back to Godhead. This is the work of the great souls, the Mahatmas. The sages of Naimasaranya got together for a 1,000-year seminar. 1,000 years. And what was the topic? How to do the greatest good to everyone. Yeah, Srimad Bhagavatam. But their question was, at the outset, how to do good for everybody else. Imagine, have a brainstorming session for 1,000 years to sit down and figure out how to do the greatest good for all the people of the world. And what came out was the Srimad Bhagavatam, that sound vibration, which attracts even the minds and hearts of the liberated souls. It is the same quality as Krishna. Krishne sva damo pagate dharma ganadi bi saha kalunashta drishamesha purar narko danodita. It's arisen in this age just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali will get light from this Purana. So we have an opportunity to follow in the footsteps of the great souls, and all of you are. This is your whole organization here is geared towards inviting other people to come in and dance in the kirtan and hear Krishna Katha. And you're going out everywhere, all over the city, to colleges, to universities. People are coming here, and you're giving everyone opportunity to go back home, back to Godhead. So this is the greatest kind of worship, this tapasya. And the tapasya that we take to do this gives us superior strength and knowledge in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada wrote this in a letter to Nandarani and her husband's, Dayananda. Dayananda and Nandarani got a letter from Srila Prabhupada, and he said, if you just try to do this, that is, introduce Krishna consciousness to other people, you will get superior strength and knowledge in Krishna consciousness. And how is that? That when you go and you try to give people Krishna consciousness, that you get superior strength and knowledge. Well, one thing is, you're going outside your comfort zone and you're speaking to people about something that is controversial to other people. As when I mentioned to this man yesterday about free will, and he challenged me, and he said, no, there's no free will, there's only, everything's predestined. Then I have to think about it. When you stay with those who agree with everything you say, then you don't grow. If everyone agrees with you, there's no reason to find out anything new. But when you move amidst those who disagree with you or have all kinds of contrary opinions, that it makes you hungry to come back and listen carefully to what the Srimad Bhagavatam is saying, and also to have internal realization. Tachcharadhana munayo jnana vairagya yuktaya pashyantyatmani chatmanam bhaktya shuta grihitaya. And Sutta Goswami says this is necessary to have this jnana and vairagya to be fortified by these things. Tachcharadhana munayo, those munis who are fortified by jnana and vairagya, they get a firm footing in the process of devotional service. It comes automatically from performing devotional service. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayat Yashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayarahaitukam. When you serve Krishna, then concomitant results are that you get knowledge and detachment from the world. But especially when we endeavor to meet other people who don't have faith, and to give them an opportunity to get a footing in Krishna consciousness. it gives us many opportunities to become hungry in Krishna consciousness by learning better ways to reach people, to learn the philosophy, and not only just the philosophy, learn how to communicate with people in such a way that they can take it. Just because we have a gift doesn't mean people will take it. It's how we offer. There have been many spiritual campaigns in the world when people were forced to take it. In the Crusades, there was a choice, either take it or die. That wasn't Prabhupada's campaign. Somehow or other, because of the way he presented it, people wanted to take it. This is another aspect of spreading Krishna consciousness, that if I have a certain state of heart, people will be naturally attracted and want to take it. And therefore, this is a very high service, to go out and give Krishna consciousness to others, because to give isn't automatic. People don't automatically take it. I have to offer it with love. I have to offer it with a heart where I actually want to help people. In the 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Mahatsevam dwarava muhurava muktes tamo dwaram yoshitam sangi sangam mahantas te samachita prashanta vimanyavak surida sadavoye. This verse, which most of you probably know, that says that the doorway to liberation is association with great souls, and the doorway to hell is association with materialistic people. In that verse, it says, Vimanyavak Suridak Sadavoye, that the sadhus, they're Vimanyavak, which means non-envious. And Prabhupada, in the word-for-word translation, says Vimanyavak means the ability to teach Krishna consciousness to others without becoming angry at them. When I have some vested interest, when I want something in return from somebody, when I want what you have, that's called, what is that called? Is it envy? Jealousy? Something. Anyway, it's an impediment. If I don't want anything from someone, I just want to give them the best thing, then they feel it. Living entities are very sensitive. I was thinking about how sensitive living entities. There's a hierarchy of sensitivity in this world. Indriyani prayanyahur indriyebhya paramanaha. Manasastu parabhudhir yobhudhe paratasusa. In hierarchy of subtlety comes the gross matter, the sense objects, and then come the senses. Above the senses is the mind, above the mind is and above the intelligence is and how fine is the intelligence, but finer than the intelligence is the soul. What are the sensitivities of the soul? So sensitive. Everyone's sensitive. And therefore, to give Krishna consciousness to others requires a refined sensitivity. It means one has to actually be purified in heart. If there's some motive, if there's a motive in my heart when I go out to give Krishna consciousness to others, jivas know it. They know when you want something. Everybody does. And there's just a feeling. That's why the material world is dead, is because everyone wants something. They're on the take. It's like when you get mail. In the mail, most of it, 95, 99%, are computer-generated letters. Don't you hate that? I mean, it's not attractive anyway, is it? Does anybody actually read those? Do you sit down and read a letter that was computer-generated, that they put out? And do they care about me? And in my house, when the letter comes to the letter slot, it falls onto the ground behind the door. And I can tell from the other room by a cursory glance if there's actually a valuable letter in it. There may be 10 letters, and I can tell just by looking if one of them was actually handwritten. From another room, I can tell. That's how sensitive I am to getting something personal. Everybody wants some personal touch, some kindness, something from the heart, something that's meaningful. That's love. Dadati pratigurnati guyamakyati prichyati Bhunkte bhojayate chaiva shadvidam pratilakshanam. There are exchanges of love that Rupa Goswami says. This is our Acharya, Rupa Goswami, and he's saying, this is what Krishna consciousness is based on. It's based on 6 exchanges of love. What is your philosophy? It's all about the exchanges of love. That's a nice philosophy. Giving gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts. Make a career out of it. And giving prasadam. What is prasadam? It's food cooked out of love. And accepting these things. And revealing one's heart to others. This is what Prabhupada says in his commentary on that verse. That is the Krishna consciousness movement. That's what we do. We exchange love between the devotees, and then we take that same mood out and we give it to others. Exchange of love with others. So if I'm not motivated, if I'm simply extending myself out of love, it overwhelms people. What kind of people does it overwhelm? Well, start with Krishna. Krishna becomes overwhelmed by the love of a jiva who voluntarily, without any motivation within the heart, offers him something. Patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati taraham bhaktyuparitam ashnami pariyatatmanaha. What kind of philosophy do we have? And Krishna says, just offer me a flower and I'll take it. God takes a flower. What does anybody else take in this material world? Hard work. And if you don't show up on time, you're fired. And even if you do show up on time, you may be fired. And therefore, Rupa Goswami's Kama Dinam Katina Katita Palita Durnideshas Tesham Jata Mayina Karuna Natrapa No Pashanti Utsrijaitan Ata Yarupate Samprata Labda Buddhis Tamayata Sharanam Abhayam Nyungshva Madasye. For how long and how many ways have I obeyed the bad masters of this material world? The motivated desires within my heart, crippled desires to take for myself. How long and how many ways have I obeyed the senses, which are bad masters? They've never given me mercy. They've never given me time off. Even if I ask for it, no time off. And I've never questioned them. I've only obeyed. But now, the devotee says, my intelligence has awakened. My spiritual intelligence is now awake, and I'll no longer obey these bad masters. Now I want unmotivated, uninterrupted personal service to Krishna. If someone has this feeling, they can be successful in giving Krishna consciousness to others. This feeling of love. It conquers Krishna. The Ajita becomes Jita when the living entity comes and offers a flower and says, out of love I offer you this flower. Out of gratitude I offer this flower. And then Krishna becomes conquered by that devotee. What to speak of everyone else in the world who's used to being ripped off and shortchanged and cheated by not getting real love. When someone comes forth with real love in their heart and no motivation to give something, it's very difficult for people to refuse. So the austerity of spreading Krishna consciousness means that one has to come to the higher consciousness of a pure heart with an unmotivated desire to give love to others, to give others an opportunity to go back to Godhead, to see the light. One person who has that unmotivated desire within their heart can change others into Vaishnavas and can change the whole world. It emanates from within the core of a heart of a person. So the austerity, tapyante lokatapena, actually, it's not an austerity at all because it means becoming free from the great burden of lust, envy, greed. But that's what moves the world. Actually, everything else, as Prabhupada mentions here, is business as usual. Tasyaiva heta prayateta kovido nalabhyate yad brahmatam uparyata. Don't try to get ahead by any other means except for purifying the heart, because it won't work. It's already predestined. You already owe so much of a debt that no one's going to let you off. The only thing to do is to surrender and to take the process of purification. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. And now take some reflections. That means one thing that you heard that stuck in your mind that you're taking out of here in your pocket. And either that will take questions. And we have a microphone today to make the process more efficient so I don't have to repeat it. Hare Krishna. What is your name? Akinchana. Hare Krishna. We were talking about you in the last class. Akinchana. Yeah, we were talking about akinchan. Kinchan means something. Akinchan means not something. Means no motivation, no desire within the heart. Hare Krishna.
I was just wondering if you would shed some light. In the Ishopanishad, there's a verse there where it says that it's a prayer, and in it says, "Please don't forget all that I have done for you." In relation to not wanting anything in return. When you offer something to Krishna, you do it wholeheartedly and out of love, not expecting anything in return. In relation to that verse in the Ishopanishad, where it seems like there's a calling there for the Lord to remember me as a soul, as an individual. Please don't forget all that I have done for you.
Thank you very much, Kinchan. This verse, Vayor anilam amritam atedam bhashmantam shariram om kratos smara kritam smara kratos smara kritam smara. Let this temporary body be burned to ashes, and let the air of life be merged with the totality of air. Now, my Lord, please remember all my sacrifices, and because you are the ultimate beneficiary, please remember all that I have done for you. So, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, the devotee doesn't have to remind the Lord all that he has done for him. Krishna knows. And in fact, it's mentioned in that verse in the purport that even if the devotee forgets Krishna at the time of death, the Krishna won't forget him. He knows everything the devotee's done. These verses, these prayers, spoken by Manu, Swayambhuva Manu. And it's actually a way to remind us that whatever we do in this life for the cause of the Lord it goes in our bank account, our permanent bank account. Prabhupada said once that every living entity has a bank account in their heart. And every time someone comes in contact with devotional service, even unknowingly, they get a deposit. And when that bank account fills up enough, when there's enough of a deposit within the heart, then Shraddha is born. It awakens. The standard is that we don't ask anything from the Lord, but we find cases, even in the Srimad Bhagavatam, when devotees ask something from the Lord. Gajendra said in one of his prayers that I know pure devotees, your pure devotees don't ask you for anything. But right now, I have a crocodile on my leg. Please help me. And there are ways in which Rupa Goswami mentions that, we have we have many obligations in this world. We're a combination of matter and spirit, so to speak. We have obligations to take care of many things, our families and so forth. And as we're performing duties to maintain the body and so on in this material world, so that we can go on with our service, it's not outside the realm of pure devotional service. In any case, there are several ways of looking at it, and those are a couple. Okay? Hare Krishna. Rupa Vilas Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Yes. Just wait, the microphone's just coming.
Okay. I thought it was loud.
Yeah, but it's being broadcast, and that's the important thing because the devotees can't hear.
Thank you. On the same theme, we know that Haridas Thakur asked Lord Chaitanya, he more or less demanded that he be allowed to leave prior to the Lord's disappearance. And he expected that the Lord would fulfill his desire. So one way to understand, that is that that he knew that his individual expression of love for the Lord would be pleasing to the Lord under any circumstances. So it's not hackneyed that we're just some kind of automaton that we just do whatever Krishna says. When on the higher level, there may be disagreement even, or there may be demands. But that's all on the basis of love, loving exchange, and the Lord's pleased by the expression of that individuality. So that's just another way that maybe this devotee's praying that you remember what I did, and the Lord may be more pleased by that than his not expressing that sentiment.
Yeah,
so it's an individual loving exchange. So in that individual loving on that level, there may be extraordinary exchanges. I don't know.
No, it's a very nice point. Yes. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
I was just speaking to Dhiroshanta Prabhu, and I said that I doubt if I ever go back to Godhead. And he encouraged me very much. He says, listen, Kulangana, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he was my Siksha Guru, and he was helping me a lot. So he says, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, speak to Srila Prabhupada, and he says, Srila Prabhupada, we are going out to distribute these books. We are preaching. You ask us to preach constantly. We are associating with these demons. So we can forget Krishna in the moment of death. Not to remember how we can take this chance, to go out like that. And Prabhupada says, listen, you take this chance and surrender. And Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, will come to your mind, he says, and to your heart. And forcibly he will drag you back to Godhead, even if you've forgotten him in the time of death. So I am saying, thank you very much. I am very encouraged. There is some hope for me, I said.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
My comment is with regard to this free will which you spoke about. I know that in Judeo-Christian tradition and also in Islam there is a high store for free will and so on. But one confusion that haunts me is this, that from scientific point of view there is no free will. We're all traveling along predestined lines. That is our destiny. If someone surrenders to Krishna completely, does he have a free will? What is his free will worth in that case? Can I use my free will not to die, not to have any disease, or even to park my car on a double-wheeler line with impunity? Can I do that? No. So what is this free will all about?
Well, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Manasa Deho Geho Yo Kichumor. He says, my body, my mind, my home, family, even my very self, I give to you, Krishna. And when the devotee completely surrenders to Krishna, I was mentioning earlier that Krishna becomes affected by the choice of a devotee. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the controller. But when a devotee expresses surrender, then even Krishna can change his plan. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was giving benedictions to all the devotees, he performed his Mahaprakash for 21 hours at the house of Srivas Thakur, and he was calling all the devotees to come and take benedictions. And he was giving them whatever they wanted and bestowing them with pure love for God. And everyone was wondering why they weren't calling Mukunda. Mukunda was the great kirtan singer and great associate of the Lord, but he was sitting behind a screen in the room. Everyone could see his form and knew he was there, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu obviously knew he was there, but he wasn't being called. So Srivas and the others came and said, "Why haven't you called Mukunda?" And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Don't speak of him. Don't stand up for that fellow. He goes here, there, and every place to hear different philosophies, even sits with the Mayavadis, and then agrees with them." He said, "I want nothing to do with him. He can't come back in my presence. I won't give him my benediction." And when Mukunda heard this, he began to cry. And Srivas Thakur went to tell him what the Lord's disposition towards him was. And Mukunda asked, when can I come back? And Srivas Thakur, begging the Lord, said, "When can he come back?" And Mahaprabhu said, "After millions of lifetimes, he'll be qualified to come back." And when Mukunda heard this, he began to dance, uncontrollable in ecstasy, because he said, "I will see, I will see." Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, he'll be able to see me after millions of births. So he began to dance in ecstasy. And just at that moment, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw that Mukunda had taken his word as absolute, and that he had gone into ecstasy by hearing that even after millions of births he would attain Lord Chaitanya, and that because of that he realized the importance of being in the Lord's association, even if it took millions of births, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu changed his decision and said, "Bring him here now. Bring Mukunda here now." Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in his commentary on this, mentions that this exchange between Mukunda and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu shows that the living entity in his surrender to Krishna can actually change the plan of the Lord, who is the Supreme Ishvara. In the material world, the situation is that we are forced to follow the law, and that's merciful also. Krishna gives this even law of karma. Everyone has to follow it in this material world. But beyond that is mercy. There's justice, and then beyond that is mercy, and someone may say that I didn't deserve it. You can say, exactly. That's what mercy is. You didn't deserve it. I'm unqualified. I know, but you're getting mercy. That's what it means. So the Lord extends his mercy to this world of karma, where everything is the law is evenly meted out to everyone, but then he gives this dispensation that we can become extricated from this world. And there is freedom of choice in the spiritual world to serve as one likes. There's individual choice by every living entity to serve Krishna and to expand their service unlimitedly. This is the world of freedom.
That is the truth. But what you said just now, Prabhu, is that one may consider that as an axiomatic truth. We cannot get away from that. But on the other hand, if you look at the highest realms of science, for example, you will see that very fact that one thinks like that, or very fact that one tries to deny this predestination, that is also a point in the path of predestination. Because you see, these lines which Einstein calls geodesics, these are sort of space-time continuum lines in which every second, microsecond of our life, that is catered for. So the very fact that one denies this or tries to deny this is also a point in that curve. There is no getting away from that fact. Actually, the thing is, as you probably know, in Bengal there is a saying that, the Lord says that those who really love me, I become Ami Hoitar Dasher Das. That means I become the slave of his slave. That being the case, yes, there is justification in thinking that Krishna can change the course of your destination. That is perfectly all right. But that is, as I said before, there is a axiomatic truth. To be in the presence of, or to follow him, or to love him, that is our destiny. No one can get away from that. But to go there, it takes a long time. So, what is your comment on that, please? Because in Bengal there are some I wouldn't say families, but communities in which they actually accept that predestination is something that is what we are doing,
The path of devotional service cannot be understood by tarko pratishtanat. The clear understanding of devotional service is not understood by argument. Tarko pratishtanat. And therefore, one should not become a tarki. Those who are experiencing for themselves that they're becoming relieved from the oppression of the senses, vacho vegam, manasakrodha vegam, jihwa vegam, udarapasta vegam, etan vegam, yo vishaheta dhira, sarvam apimam pritivim nashishat. The masters of this world are the senses. And one who awakens his love, her love for Krishna, feels for him or herself that this oppression is lifted and they feel the freedom. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavat bhakti yogata. Bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangha sijayate. It becomes a scientific, clear realization to such a person, not on the mental platform, but they know for themselves. And what is the experience? It's compared in the Shastra, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, to be like eating food. Bhakti parishanu bhavo virakti ranyatra traisa trika ekakala. Prapadya manasya yatashnata shus tushti pushti shud apayonugasam. That when one is starving and he eats food, he knows for himself that he gets nourishment, satisfaction, and the hunger goes away. And no one has to come and pat him on the shoulder and says, guess what? This is nourishing you and your hunger's going away. They say, okay, fine, thank you. And in the same way, Prapadya Manasya, someone who's surrendering to Krishna, Shastra says, Kavi Yogendra says, knows for himself bhakti, experiences the bhakti, parishan anubhava. He sees for himself Isha, the supreme controller, in his relationship with him. And virakti, he becomes detached from all other things that aren't related to Krishna. So it's experiential. And others can argue, many different kinds of philosophy, but the devotee actually drinks the water. There's an analogy that you want water, and then someone comes to you and says, so you want water? It's in that cloud. Help yourself. Thank you very much. This is like the idea of Narayan in Vaikuntha. You say, I want to know God. You say, he's in Vaikuntha. So then, like in the desert, they have flash floods. somewhere it rains really hard, and all of a sudden the water comes rushing in one place. You don't know where it's going to be, but it comes in one place, and you have to be there to get the water. This is like the avatars of the Lord. They come to the world at certain times and certain places. So you say, I want water, go find a flash flood. Then someone else says, you can find God in your heart. But that's a hard process, meditation, introspection. This is like getting water from the well. You need a bucket. You need some apparatus. At least you got to dig a hole, and you got to go down deep and bring the water up. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought the Sankirtan movement. And the chanting of a Hare Krishna Mahamantra is like water within the palm of your hand. You just drink it. People, yesterday I saw, they're walking by and they'd stop and they become stunned. And their material conception of life, at least temporarily, was suspended by the power of the holy name. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's method of giving mercy was experiential. Everywhere he went, people would become swept away by the Sankirtan process, and they would become liberated by his special mercy. We have 30 seconds for one last reflection. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. On the street, people are used to people stopping them because they know that they do want something and they know that there is a motive. So people are actually generally mechanical and they expect something motivated and mechanical. I just have the feeling sometimes if you're offering something without a material motive or something like that, they might find it's a bit weird. But if you make clear that you do want their money and it is and it's not so lovey-dovey, then they might relate to it more. Just because, as I was explaining to you before, I was used to doing book distribution, doing it and just saying it's just normal charity work. But if I'm trying to now do things on a more spiritual basis, but I'm just feeling that I'm having less connection with people.
Well, love doesn't necessarily mean that you're lovey-dovey all the time. There's hard love. There's medicinal love. You know, doctors when they decide to operate on you, it's a compassionate thing, and they're expert. They know what to do for certain patients. So I'm not advocating that we simply go out and give everyone the peace sign or something like that. But I'm talking about in our own cultivation of Krishna consciousness, when we have a feeling, when we have an unmotivated desire to give others Krishna consciousness because it's overflowing within our own heart, then it's a strong motivation to give others an opportunity, and we'll figure out all kinds of ways and means to do it. And whether it is charging, not charging, packaging it, not packaging it, whatever it is, Vaishnavacharyas, they're always trying to figure out how to put it so people will take it, and that may change according to time, place, and circumstance. But the motivation behind it, once people get it, they see that this was given out of love and compassion. So you have to become an expert physician to administer the medicine to people so that they get it. One way or another, they should get it. And that's why I always talk about how it's important to leave everyone with a good impression. Because when you go out with that feeling that I'll leave everyone with a good impression, whether they take something, don't take something, then your approach is towards doing the best you can for them, and it gives them an opportunity to start in Krishna consciousness. And with the word start, we're going to end the class. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande Haribo.
Just a quick announcement before you leave the temple room. Many of you who came for the seminar, the venue, which is not on the poster, it's actually in the theater room. So 10 o'clock the seminar will start and finish at 12. And on that note, I would like to, this is the third day and the final day of Vaisesika Prabhu being here as an ambassador of goodwill. We want to thank him very much for the wonderful prasadam in the form of his speech to us. And we wish him good tour to go to Scotland and Manchester, Coventry, Leicester, and then London. So thank you very much. Hari Bol.